people say like you can be set back from education, right? Or maybe set back from going to an elite school or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, what I think what is even a bigger setback, especially for really intelligent people and men, is getting mixed up with the wrong woman. That can set you back way further than any education, any job, anything. Dude, I'm so serious.
I know.
And like that's way worse. And you know, I have, sorry, my dude's, my surfer talk came out.
That's funny.
I was going to say, like, I know so many people, like, really smart, graduated at the top of their class, went to a really good school, or maybe they went to the military, right? And, like, had so much going for them, and they met the wrong woman, and she just completely just cleared him out and set him back at least 10 or 20 years, man. I'm serious.
Yeah.
Like, if you're listening, like, meeting the wrong woman is just, it's the worst thing that can happen to you. Seriously.
I think that it's true, but it's not the whole truth, because the whole truth is you're the wrong man. Because a man, first of all, who is a man wouldn't get involved with the wrong woman that much. And were he to slip up and get involved a little bit, wouldn't get so into her that she's able to set him back and that he's able to set himself back. You know what I mean?
So first of all, that's a great point. But two things I wanted to mention on that is the first thing is that, you know, when you have these kids that all they do is study, right? And all they do is just like work hard and focus on themselves and try to get ahead, but they don't know anything about women, right? Like they're kind of like, they might be kind of nerdy or they might be just kind of self-focused or whatever, right? I'll deal with that later. They're not educated they don't know what kind of evil is out there lurking. And there's predatory women out there that are like, oh, he's got a nice job. He's got some money. He's got whatever. And they get manipulated super easy. And, you know, you're absolutely right. At the end of the day, it's their fault.
Right.
Like, it is their fault. But, what, you know...
Their parents were so hung up on getting them an education that they ignored street smarts.
Absolutely.
Real world.
Absolutely. You know, and there's so many parents that are like, oh, my son got all A's and all this nonsense. And then it's like, yeah, but he got destroyed. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, it's just, and the other thing I was going to say is, you know, men have to be out there with a hand tied behind their back. James, if you marry the wrong woman, right? Unless, you know, you shouldn't have gotten yourself to that point to begin with. But let's say you wake up and you marry the wrong woman. You know, there's only so much that you can do to put her in her place before the cops start banging on your door. Like men don't have the same. There's only so much you can do as a man.
True.
To, you know, quote. I know this sounds really bad, but to quote, put a woman in her place. You can't. I mean, you can't hit her. You can't. I'm not saying that you should. Right.
I totally know.
There's no reason to hit a woman. I get that, but it's like, you're limited as to what you can do. A girl can go crazy and start breaking stuff in your house, and, you know, you got to put her in like a submission hold or something like that. You know, what do you do?
And you can't even do that too much.
You can't even do that.
Yeah.
You know, it's like if you go through a divorce, you just have to hope, like, man, I hope she doesn't say I hit her. I hope she doesn't say I did drugs. I hope she didn't come up with some nonsense to try to put, you know, because they literally can do whatever.
Yeah. That's why that's why the when in doubt, don't thing is such so powerful. And listen to those little warnings that you tend to overlook and just pass on by and charge on ahead.
Well, it's just like, if you're out there and you're listening, because I'm older now, you know, I've seen some stuff, but if you're like a teenager or you're in your 20s and you're doing well for yourself and you got some momentum going, you know, just please take my word of caution. You know, make sure you find the right girl and if, sometimes that means like, don't get married right away, right? If you meet some chick and she's like, oh, I love you, and, let's get married, and she tries to accelerate things too quickly, that's a big red flag.
Yeah.
And you might be like, oh, man, she really digs me. Like, she's super into me. Like, this is really going to work out. But it's like, that's a giant red flag.
Yeah. JLP says 7 years, no sex before getting married. 7 years dating. That way you get to know her and you're not all caught up in the emotions and selfishness of the S word. I just said it. And then you can see her clearly and yourself clearly.
Yeah.
And that may not be a hard, fast rule. I don't know. But the point is the same, like as what you said about.
Yeah.
And it's not about finding one. It's like let life happen rather than trying to make stuff happen.
Well, again, man, speaking as an older guy, it's like.
How much older are you? You don't sound that old. How old are you?
I'm 40, man.
Oh, all right. I mean, you've lived a bit of a life, so that's. I guess we can.
Right. Well, I've been.
You're not MGTOW. Are you MGTOW? Men going their own way?
No. Well, I'm definitely not MGTOW. Okay. But I'm divorced with a kid.
Okay.
And
you got the kid?
So, yeah.
Nice.
Like, I know, right?
Yeah, it's not so common.
Yeah, it's really not. I don't take it for granted either, man. Cool. I know how blessed I am. So, but I went through hell before I got to the other side.
Is it hard? Is it hard emotionally? I mean, like you ever like miss her? Your idea of her?
No.
Nice.
And what I'm saying, well, here's what I mean. Because she would let her emotions take over to the point where she was uncontrollable.
Right.
And like I was saying before, it would have taken me to do something that I'd probably get arrested for to keep her in line. And it's like, you can't do that. You can't do that.
So it was only right to let her leave. She left? She left. Yeah. Well, that's the Christian way, is to let her leave. You can't force her to stay. And you wouldn't want to. So she did you a favor. Right? I think.
Right. Well, but that was another thing though too, and that's a really good point that you bring up, because as Christians you want to make it work, right? Like you really want to make a relationship or make a marriage work, especially if there's kids.
If she's willing to stay, but if she's not, then you let her leave.
Well, yeah, but here's what happened, is that she knew I would do whatever it took to keep the relationship going.
Yeah, they use it as a weakness. And it may have been a weakness.
So they use it as leverage. Yes, so they use that as leverage to basically cut away at you until there's nothing left.
Yeah.
And so the smart thing in my case would have been to have left earlier.
Maybe so, yeah. I mean, it wasn't a real marriage.
Or to not have, because if I would have
not
said,
even
hey.
Getting married, you saying?
Well, yeah. That's
to not have what?
What?
To not have what? Because
to not have let her treat me that way.
Yeah.
But, that wouldn't have lasted long to begin either,
Well, she would shape up or ship out.
Right. I mean, maybe if I had given her an ultimatum, maybe it would have been like a coin flip, right? Or maybe worse odds.
Yeah.
But if she decided to shape up, then great. If not, there's a door. My thinking is she probably would have said, see you later, F you, blah, 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 but,
and that'd be fine. That's the,
but that's just not the mentality that I had, because I was from a two-parent household, and I wanted that for my kid. And I had the assumption that no matter what, a two-parent household would be better than a one-parent household. And they talk about women having. Right. Well, I've learned a lot more since then. Like I've heard about women being, bipolar narcissism.
Uh-huh.
Or bipolar.
One of those mumbo jumbo words that they come up with to describe evil people. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm learning more about some of the evil sides of women's nature and stuff, and you know, it's funny because you were asking about if I ever thought about getting back with my ex, and I
wasn't even thinking that. I was just thinking about the emotional missing part. I wasn't.
No, that's definitely there, and but you know what? It's like, and sex is nice too. Like it is, obviously, and you know, I've been in relationships. You know, I know what it's all about. Blah blah blah. You know, I have a kid. He wasn't from divine whatever. You know, but it's like I miss that too. But what I miss more is the camaraderie. You know, I miss being in a relationship, and I know that's an old school thing to say.
Yeah.
You know, if Jesse Lee Peterson talks about being with someone for 7 years without sex, it's like, you know, he might be onto something because, you know, I mean, sex is emotional, yeah, but it's also physical too.
Right.
And, but like having a deep emotional bond with somebody is really special. And, you know, I thought I had that, but I didn't.
Isn't that interesting? It's an illusion. It's funny that you wanted this ideal, and that was a setup. It was a weakness. You wanted this ideal of the father and mother in the home for your kid, and that was a mistake to want that.
Well, you know, dude, man, I know I'm taking a lot of your time, but
You're fine, man.
I just want to.
Go ahead.
You just made me think of something like. Okay, and this is how it's because I'm an older millennial. Like
same.
My ex was actually older than me. She was Generation X.
Okay.
But like, yeah, I had a thing for older women back then. But
terrible.
But when I was, I feel like it's changed a lot. Like when I was growing up, and when we were when I was a teenager and stuff. Like everybody wanted to get into a relationship.
Yeah.
Right? Like everybody wanted a girlfriend. Everybody wanted, you know, to have like a significant other, blah, blah, blah. Where I feel like nowadays, everybody just wants to hook up. And like nobody really cares about a relationship. They just want to, it's like that hookup culture is so, like they just want to get with as many people as they can.
Yeah.
And it's like, I feel like that's been a big change because, like, my younger brother, was with this girl of his for like 4 years, and they broke up. And he was like, "Oh man, you know, I shouldn't have dated her for 4 years. I should have just slept around." Like,
man!
Afterward,
they go the opposite extreme of it goes from bad to worse. Their solutions are go ahead. They're worse.
Well,
than the problem.
it was just like, but. What are you talking about? Like being with someone for a long time and getting to know them and getting close with them and stuff. I mean, isn't that the ideal? It's like, why are we like, even if it didn't work out, I still feel like that's more important than like just having a bunch of one night stand. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, because that's just selfishness and you're not learning anything. Well, maybe there's other stuff to learn when you're making that error, continuing, we'll call it error, when you're continuing in that error. But when you continue in just the normal error of trying to date and see about whatever, like a long-term relationship, that's wrong when you're doing the S thing and when you have the wrong relationship with them and like mutual need for each other, false need for each other.
Yeah.
But you're going from one bad idea to another bad solution.
That's right.
For the selfishness of people. That's interesting, man. I hadn't considered that. The hookup thing being so prevalent.
And I don't know. Maybe it's just my perception. I just feel like things have changed.
I think you're right.
Maybe it's like the whole Tinder thing. It's like, but I just feel like people moved from wanting a serious relationship to wanting to go from that exclusive monogamous relationship to hookups and like.
Well, people are disillusioned with how they see how bad relationships are, so they just want to do nothing serious now and just be silly women. Everybody, including the males, being silly women with these bad ideas.
And that's the thing too. It's like, knowing what I know now, would I get married again? I don't. I might have a relationship with somebody, but in terms of getting married again, I don't know.
Yeah,
I want to say no.
It's funny that you said, because I remember being in high school, that was the first time I ever heard the term significant other. You said in high school, people wanted a relationship, a significant other.
Well, just like, having a serious relationship but not getting married.
Right,
know?
but that's
like when you're in high school or college or whatever, you have that serious girlfriend or whatever that you've had.
Yep. That's when the gays were starting to take over and entrench their language change to make themselves seem acceptable.
Oh, man, that's funny.
Well, thank you, David in Texas. Great call, man. Very interesting.
Oh, dude, thanks a lot for having me on the show, man. It's a great show.
All right. Call me again sometime.
All right, man.
Happy White History Month, by the way.
Yes. Happy White History Month to you, too, man.
Are you white or black or Hispanic or both or all three?
I'm mixed, so my mom is white, so I grew up with a white culture, but my dad is Hispanic. Like, if you saw me on the street, you just think I was a white guy.
Okay.
But, thank you to all the white people out there that treated me like anybody else.
Nice.
And saw past my color. And thank you, white people. I really appreciate that. And I try to work hard to toe my own, pull my own.
Right on, man. Take care, David.
All right, man. You too.
All right.